What's good, y'all? It's your boy Muhammad Sanu. We here live at the Trail Report. You know what I'm saying? My boy C Hill. Y'all better stay tuned. You heard? Being talk.
So the Oklahoma City Thunder did go up 3-2 over the San Antonio Spurs in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. However, OKC is nor OKC nor the Spurs are at the topic of discussion as of now, mainly because something else in the game was taking place that has to do with something in the game, and that is the referees. There was a lot of, you could say, missed calls. There were a lot of it's a lot of just controversy going on around the refs in the Western Conference Finals. If you did not know, basically the general census of what's going on is OKC tends to get a lot of free throws. Now SGA's game, who is the Thunder star player, obviously, um, naturally his game kind of kind of implicates getting a lot of calls while going to the rim and trying to get layups and driving into the lane and getting bumped and getting called for fouls and stuff like that. His game, that's a part of his game. He gets fouls, he gets, he's going to get those calls in the mid-range. That's why he drives as hard, he drives as intense as he does, because he knows at least if he doesn't get the layup to go, at least he can get a foul call. It's kind of like, in my view, how like a kind of like how a Luka Doncic is in a way. You guys know I'm a Lakers fan. Luka kind of does the same thing. It's kind of a mentality in my view of, like I said, if I drive, if I don't get the layup to go or don't get the floater or whatever shot I'm going to throw up to go, then at least it's a good chance that I'll get the foul call, because I'm going to go up intense and, try to get a bump on the shoulder, or try to, go up in a way to where it looks like I got bumped or I get bumped and they foul me. So and I have no problem with that. That's on the defender. The defender has to not foul. I know that's extremely impossible at times, but it is what it is. That's just kind of how the rules are officiated, and just in the NBA, that's kind of what it is. Kind of just got to deal with it. It's one of those things like pass interference in the NFL. Like, you might not like it, you might think it's a little iffy either way, but you still gotta either deal with it or not play football. It's kind of what it is. So that's what a lot of controversy is going on around the Western Conference Finals right now. Now, last night, the reason why it's a lot louder after Game 5 is because while there were some definite, calls that happened in the other games, that people might have called questionable or things like that. What happened last night was, in some people's opinion, a a little favoritism, put it like that, to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the reason that is I'll just go down the sequence for you guys, then I'll get into the numbers. So it was a couple plays where, Thunder got a couple free throws or a couple calls that didn't get called, a couple fouls that I felt like probably could have leaned towards being fouls, like on the defensive side of things, but they didn't get called for them. They just kind of just let it roll with it. Now, I have no problem with that. Absolutely no problem with that. And I'm one of those people in the playoffs. I don't care in what sport, in NBA, NFL, whatever. Name any sport. I'm same way. I'm a boxing fan. I'm the same way with boxing when it gets to the later rounds. Listen, towards the later rounds, or when it gets crunch time or playoff stuff like that. Listen, let the players play physical. Let them play defense a little bit tougher. Let them, maybe a hand check that would have got called in maybe the first quarter don't get called too much. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Don't get called as much in the playoffs. A foul that maybe would have been a foul in the regular season, kind of lets it slide in the postseason. I have no problem with that. The playoffs, in my view, is an intense battle of two teams trying their hardest, trying everything they can do to make it to the NBA Finals, to hopefully get a chance to raise that Larry O.B. trophy and bring another championship, or the first championship, to their organization. So I have no problem with it kind of being more intense, more, gritty and more, fouls and, like getting more physical. I have no problem with that. I feel like that's how the playoffs should be. I feel like if it's a little, a little ticky tack call that maybe would have got called in the regular season, you know what? Let it slide in the playoffs. Why not? Because this is an intense battlefield. Okay, this is an intense. It's intense on this court. This is the playoffs. You're trying to get to an NBA Finals, the same as the other team. Let there be some physicality at play. I have no problem with that. Now, the thing was, while I have no problem with that personally, the thing is, and I just got to be honest, and I'm not saying that the refs are biased or cheating, or I'm not saying none of that. I'm not going to make those allegations, but I will say this, just from my personal view. There are a lot of calls, and I can say this because as a Lakers fan, we happened to play OKC in the playoffs earlier before they got to the Spurs. There are a lot of calls that tend to go the Thunder's way that don't get the same fairness, if you will, to the other team. And what I mean by that is, for example, hypothetically, SGA, he might go up, get bumped, boom, whistle, foul call. He goes to the line for the and one or go shoot the 2 free throws, right? No problem with that at all. Perfect. On the other side, LeBron gets the same bump, no call. I have no problem with that. LeBron has kind of gotten to the point of his career to where they don't really give him a lot of calls anyway. So I kind of grown to accept that. Being a LeBron fan myself, I kind of grown to accept the fact that he's not going to get a lot of calls that he should get because, he's at that stage of his career to where he doesn't get those calls anymore. It's to the point where LeBron now really has to get fouled to get a call. Like, it's that point. But not even on the offensive side, but also on the defensive side for OKC. Because it's situations like this. Okay, OKC plays physical, hard-nosed, like Detroit Pistons defense, right? Like that hard-nosed, like gritty, they're hand checking, they're making sure they're close on you. They're not letting you dribble, they're not letting you get your flow. They play that kind of physical, energetic defense, and I have no problem with that. I actually love it for their aura of their team, for how they approach the game, for how they approach just winning games, how they approach actually getting back to getting close to making it back to the finals, how they approach winning games, how they approach taking every game seriously, in my opinion. I love that. I love OKC as far as that. Their energy and their effort and their work ethic is off the charts. I love OKC for that. However, on the officiating side, they can get a call where it's like, okay, a hand check, right? Like a little, minor hand check, and they might swipe the player, and it's clearly like a foul. But the ref don't call it. Okay, it's in the playoffs. Okay, once again, I have no problem with that. But keep it even, too. Like, that's my thing. Like, keep it even. Like, okay, that y'all let that slide, right? So on the other side, when the other team does the same thing, don't call the foul on them, because don't just keep it even on both sides. That's all I say. Other than that, I have no problem with it. Keep it even on both sides. You let a hand check go there, or you let a little, a bump go there. Okay, cool. On the other side, let a bump go. It's just keep it even on both sides. Don't play to where it looks like fans can be like, okay, well, yeah, they're clearly on their side, or they're clearly on OKC's side. Don't make it to where, okay, no call on OKC for doing that, but when the other team does the same exact thing, we gonna call it on them. Don't do that. Or don't do where it's like it's clear something is a clear foul or a clear violation and you don't call it, and there's no explanation from it. And the reason why I say that is because last night, perfect example, De'Aaron Fox, there was a sequence where De'Aaron Fox went up for a layup, okay? He got fouled clearly, and I'm talking clearly on this layup, in my personal opinion. He got fouled clearly, but they didn't call that. All right? They didn't call that. But Luke Cornett of the Spurs got the rebound and went for the putback. No problem with that. However, Kason Wallace gets gets the block, but it's already he gets the block, but the basketball is already in the cylinder. Like it's clearly goaltended. It's clearly already in the cylinder. He caught it on while it was while it was going in the basket. He caught the block. That's clearly goaltending, but they let it slide and they just kept going with the game. Stuff like that is where fans can get ammo and people can get ammo to be like, hey, well, look at this. You see how they give favoritism to OKC? And in my opinion of it, and I said this on the video about the Jaylen Brown Stephen A. Smith drama. I think, and I've been saying this for the longest, I think refs and the officiating team should have press conferences. And the reason why I say that is for this exact reason. Because calls like that happen all the time, and the refs never have to answer to it. They never have to they never have to acknowledge it. They never have to say we made a mistake. They never have to say that. The only thing in the NBA that you get kind of close to that is the little 2-minute report to where they announce, like LeBron said one time, all we're gonna get is a 2-minute report that's gonna say, oh yeah, it was a foul after it's too late. What are we gonna do? What good is a point to say, okay, yeah, that was a foul the next day and say, yeah, we got the call wrong, but you can't do anything about it, and they really don't take accountability for it in that they just say, oh yeah, the call was wrong. Like, I think they should have press conferences. The players do. When the players have a bad game, they go up there, they sit in front of the media, and they answer questions, the tough questions, whatever is asked. They answer the questions, and they have to deal with the pressure. I think the refs should have that same responsibility. They, after a game, whether it's a great called game, a bad called game, whatever, the whole officiating team should go up there and have to sit in front of the media and answer all these questions about the calls, like the play I was just talking about. The whole officiating team should have to go up there. Tony Brothers and his crew should have to go up there and sit down in front of the media, and they should have to answer the question, hey, on that goaltending call, the basketball was clearly in the cylinder from the looks of the cameras. Why wasn't that called a goaltend? They should have to answer these type questions. And it's just what it is. I'm not saying put extra pressure on them or make them feel like or make them feel kind of exposed or whatever, but it's just taking responsibility for your job. I feel like the refs are in this situation to where they control the game in a way, but they never have to take responsibility for the game for something going wrong in the game. They control the game, but they never have the responsibility to actually they never have the opportunity to take blame or take responsibility for what they got wrong. They get something wrong in the game, they move on to the next one. And it's just nobody, they never talk about it. They never accept responsibility. They never take blame for it. They just move on to the next one and go coach the next game. I think that's the thing that maybe the NBA needs to look into. I really do, because things like this, it gives people ammo. It does. It gives, and I'm not one to blame games on the ref or say stuff like that. I'm one of those people. Look. If we lost, we lost. If we won, we won. I'm one of those people. Like, if we lost, we lost. Find out the reason why we lost on a personal aspect of like what the team did wrong. And if we won, great. Find out what the team did right to keep doing to keep winning. I'm one of those people. But for the people who do, tend to like point some blame, rightfully so, at the refs for like moments like this, to where it kind of controls a playoff game or it controls a clutch moment. A press conference is what they would be receptive to, because they would want to know, okay, why was this called? Why did that happen? Why did y'all let that slide but didn't let this slide? Why was that foul called when clearly he didn't touch him? Why was the stuff like that? That is, you have these cameras, and here's why. Also, you have these cameras that are always getting more high tech, always a new camera angle, always these new things to see the, to see the ins and outs of the game, so they can clearly see if they made an error or if the foul was incorrectly called or if the excuse me, if they got the possession wrong, or if the looked like what was a clean block might have been a foul. They can see all of these things, right? And so for the calls that don't have a chance to be challenged, they're just there. So why not have a press conference to where the ref and the referee's whole crew have to answer these questions to why these things happened or what happened in these moments? I think the refs should have that point of having to accept responsibility, or if they coached a great game, they should have a chance to get the glory or get the credit for coaching a great game, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'm just saying a team, the OKC Thunder won, and moving on. The refs should have a chance to take the credit for coaching a good game. It works both ways. So I think maybe the NBA should look into that, press conferences for the for the refs. Now, also, the reason why the refs are at the talk of discussion this morning is because, let me give you guys a couple stats. So SGA alone, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander alone, SGA, shot 17 free throws. He made 16 of them. Okay, like I said, that's kind of SGA's game. He gets to the free throw line a lot. Okay, that's cool. OKC as a team shot 38 free throws. All right. The Spurs had 29 fouls called on them. 29 fouls called on them. Right? Okay. Now, just check this out. Excuse me. As far as fouls called, as far as, the free throw attempts, both sides, it equaled up to 70. OKC had the advantage with 38 free throws attempted. The Spurs had 32, which totaled 70 free throws attempted between both teams. And also, the Spurs actually jumped out to a lead to start off the game, but OKC led by 11 going into the half. But the point is the foul calls. You guys get it. The Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stuff, I'm not too pressed about because, like I said, SGA, his game is predicated or has a huge place in it for getting to the free throw line. Put it like that. Now, as far as the 70 foul calls, that is exactly my point. And I'm not saying favoritism to OKC or the Spurs. Neither one of the teams. They're both in the playoffs. OKC won. That is what it is. I'm just saying from the officiating side of things. From the officiating side. Bruh, 70 free throws? Are you serious? 70 free throws? That, like, stuff like that. That's my point to why I think it needs to be some type of, like, press conference or maybe podcast or something. I don't know. But something needs to happen to where the refs and the officiating crew has to take responsibility and answer these questions, because 70 free throws in a playoff game where it's supposed to be I hate to use this cliche, but I'm just being real. It's in the playoffs. Playoffs is supposed to be like intense, and you might get bumped or whatever. They don't call it. You keep going. You keep grinding until whoever the best team is wins. You keep grinding, and it's supposed to be intense. And like I said, you're going to battle and you're going to war with the other team for 7 games, and it's supposed to be that. 70 free throws? Not to mention that's slowing the game down. We have them take time to do free throws, but also just 70 free throws. Listen, that is insane. And on the OKC side of things, them having the slight edge, yeah, like I said, that's probably in part because of SGA. SGA gets to the free throw line a lot, so that's probably the reason why they had the edge in my view. Now, they did have a couple questionable calls. Again, like the call I was talking about earlier. They did have a couple questionable calls, but the edge they have more than likely came from SGA. SGA gets to the free throw line, if I had to guess, at least what I would say at least 10 to 10 to maybe, well, 8 to maybe 15 times a game. Around at 8 to 15 times a game mark. He gets to the free throw line a lot. And props to him. That's no flack on him in my point of view. Props to him. He learned how to get to the free throw line. A lot of other players need to follow in his footsteps, in my opinion of it. But Wemby need to learn how to do that. Learn how to get to the free throw line a little bit more. But the officiating side of it, I feel like, is just free range to do whatever. And then that's when you have stuff like we're talking about today, where the OKC Thunder won the game. They're up 3-2 now. They're one win away from getting back to the NBA Finals for back-to-back years. But they're not getting any credit from it. Only thing people are talking about is the fact that the refs were on their side, if you will. Like I said, I don't believe that, but I say on both sides of it. I've criticized the officiating on both sides of it. Now, I've never reffed a game in my life, so I know you probably like, where do I have room to talk? Absolutely, but how many people have flown a plane before? You can tell when the pilot is doing it wrong if it's flying in circles. Okay, I'm just being honest. So I think there's a lot on both sides that could be corrected with this officiating. And on the NBA side, can we please find a way? We have all these high-tech cameras and all these angles and different, fouls and different things, violations and stuff like that. We got all that, challenges and all. Can we please find a way for the refs to be put, honestly, under pressure for a little bit? Like, it's like, put them on the hot seat for a little bit. You're answering questions about the game you officiated. If you did something wrong, you take responsibility for it. If you did something right, you get the glory and you get the credit for it. Where can you go wrong in that sentiment? Where can you go wrong in that view? Hey, if they get up there and say something stupid, hey, listen, they need some media training in. That's on them. The NBA doesn't look any type of way for letting the refs get criticized a little bit. Like, it's not. I don't agree with this whole thing of you can't criticize the refs, or you get a fine, or you get certain things that might happen if you criticize the refs, because the refs are a part of the game, and much like any other part of the game, you can criticize it. You criticize the players. The players are playing, regardless of they're playing well, they're playing good, they're playing bad. They get criticized. So why are the refs out of that conversation? That's just my point of view of it. So we have to do better on these official refs, these refs officiating games and just not being put accountable for it. So some way, if the NBA can fix that, I feel like we wouldn't have these problems of people saying or getting these ideas that the games are rigged, or the refs are on this team, or the refs favor this team. You wouldn't have that, because the refs would actually have to have a chance to answer for the things they do. That's just my point of view of it. It's me, Chill, from the Chill Report. If y'all watched the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to come back next time. Before you leave, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Become one of the chillest players in the game. And I'm out. Peace.